A scatter plot uses dots to represent values for two different numeric variables. The position of each dot on the horizontal and vertical axis indicates values of an individual data point. And so scatter plots are used to observe relationships between variables. And so this is data collected by students in one of my classes here on whether items sank or floated in water. And so we can see that the red indicates those that sank and the blue indicates those that floated. So the activity was to take like 1 block, 2 block, 3 block, 4 block, and 5 block combinations to tie them together with rubber bands and then to mass them. Knowing the dimensions of the cube, we were able to determine the volume. And so right now, this is going to be 49.3 grams for this 3 block combination. And since these are 1 cubic inch, we could figure out what the volume is in terms of cubic milliliters or cubic centimeters. And so we can see that this 3 block combination sank. So this would be considered a sinker in here. So looking at the data, we would see here that the data here is going to appear in a table like this, where something that has like a 1 block combination, like this one that is done right here by Josh, Ari, and Jason right here. We can see it was 1 block combination. It was 16.4 milliliters in terms of its volume. It happened to have, they were able to get one that floated and one that sank. So this was probably something like poplar or wood. This might have been something else over here, which may have been like a PVC or something that would have sank. And so they try different combinations of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, trying to find something that's going to float and something that's going to sink. And now we're going to plot that data to see if we can understand the relationships between them. So if I want to select a column, I click on the column header like this, and then I'm going to click on the Shift key. That's going to allow me to select everything between those 2 points, including floaters. And now I can use the graphing tool or insert the chart tool. So here's the chart of the data. Now this is not a scatter plot. It's not the way we want to represent this data. And so what we're going to do is we are going to take that and we are going to edit the chart. Okay, so here's the chart editor. And so now we want to customize it, and the chart style that we want, or I should say the setup here that we want, is going to be for a scatter plot. So we're choosing the setup for a scatter plot. But this data looks really messy, and the reason it looks so messy is it doesn't know what the x-axis is. So we're going to select the x-axis to be volume. All right, so now it's going to start to plot out a little bit more logically. We don't need to have volume as a series, so we can remove this. So our series now become the floaters, which are illustrated in blue, and the sinkers, which are illustrated on red. And again, those represent data which was empirically determined by putting the block of combination into water. So now we have a scatter plot. We can see the relationship between floaters and sinkers, and just as the concept for scatter plots is to start to see relationships between them, we now have 2 series, the floaters and the sinkers, that are labeled right there. Let's go ahead and label the graph so it makes a little bit more sense. And so that is going to be under the customized feature for chart and axis titles. So our title of our graph would be, maybe something like what causes something to float or sink. Or you might more appropriately say, the ratio of mass versus volume and then sinking. But we're looking at 2 different tests, in other words, classifications here, some that determined that they sank and some that they floated. So let's go ahead and now put in the horizontal axis right here. This is going to be the volume of the block combination. That's going to be expressed in milliliters. And then we're going to change this over here to the vertical axis, and we're going to put on that. This is going to put the mass in grams. So now we have a graph that makes some sense. If I click on the More menu right here, the ellipsis, I can move it to its own sheet. So now it's a little bit easier to see what's going on. I can scale it just by dragging the corner, and I can also start to see relationships and so forth. We'll see that the sinkers all fell down here, and the floaters, I'm sure the sinkers were above a certain line and the floaters were below that line. Well, these points out here kind of distract us from the actual trend. So we can edit that chart, and we can determine, we can change the range of that chart. So one way we can do this is we can click on the customize right here, look at um, the vertical axis. That's what we want to change, and we're going to show a maximum value. So I'm going to say the maximum value here is, let's going to put the maximum value at like 220. So it's going to cut off some of the sinkers, but now we're able to see the pattern a little bit more clearly. We might also want to see if we can find some kind of a line separating these two items. And so we're going to customize once again. This time we're going to look for series, and we could try to find a best fit line for the blue or the purple, or we could just try to draw on the graph some kind of a line that separates. And you can see that there's a line that goes right between the blue and the red, and the slope of that's going to be 1 gram per milliliter, simply because, as we know, that the anything which is more dense than water will sink in water. In other words, if its density is greater than 1 gram per milliliter, it'll sink, and if it's less, it'll float. So that's just kind of a brief introduction to how to create a scatter plot.